to recognize that it's a natural process which we can help, we can facilitate, we can speed up. It's very different to humans imposing our own view on nature, which is what our culture is doing throughout most of the planet. So our project began very much from this personal connection with the land, this personal connection with the trees, feeling, if you like, the pain of the land and feeling a call to do something to make a difference. That's that same standing dead skeleton that we've seen before. And in 1990, after it was nearly 4 years before our first significant action took place, because I have no training as an ecologist or a forester or a biologist. I was working as a gardener, and I have a degree in electronics. I have no training or background in this. I just have a passion for it. It took me a while to educate myself, to make contacts with landowners, to raise money. And in 1990, we'd raised enough money to work with the Forestry Commission, who owned many of the best forest remnants, to put up a fence around 50 hectares of land, 125 acres. And we managed to get this character, some of you may know David Bellamy, to come and close the gate and make it a deer-free zone. So that was our first big accomplishment. A student from Edinburgh University had done some research for us before the fence was put up. He'd found an estimated 100,000 pine seedlings in the 50 hectares. That's twice the density of a Forestry Commission plantation. Self-sown. Average age 9.9 years old, and average height 8.5 centimeters. After 10 years of growth, 95% of the seedlings he studied had grazing damage. Some seedlings were up to 27 years old and still only a few centimeters high. So we knew if we could protect that area, all those seedlings would get a chance to grow. So that's what the fence did. And here you can see the difference. The photograph on the left was taken 2 years later in 1992. That was me when I had a bit more hair. And you can see here a Scots pine seedling, and it's growing out of one of those hummocks. The hummocks provide a good raised growing space. This particular hummock was growing over an old stump. So this young pine here got established, and when the fence went up, it was held in check at the height of the blaeberries there. And in 1990, it grew that much, that stem bit there. 1991, those needles were put on, and in 1992, this photograph was taken in probably late May. There's buds, which we call candles, were the growth in 1992. So you can see already after just 2 years, it's been able to get up above the height of the surrounding vegetation where it was held in check. That's the same tree photographed last year. And you can see it towers over me. And it's been producing cones for 7 or 8 years now. And those cones contain seeds, which are facilitating the further process of restoration. So this is natural regeneration, and this is the primary strategy. This is the ideal strategy because it's letting nature do most of the work. And here's a couple of other pictures that just illustrate that. The picture on the left is the same area that we saw in those previous photographs. This is just a bit further along. You can see the fence again here, and there's a holly tree right in there, and these are young birches, and you can see here the dead pines. Both of those pines that you see there died in the years after the fence was put up. Those are some of the trees I referred to as my friends. I've watched them pass away. Fortunately, in this case, there's a new generation of young trees coming to take their place. The photograph on the right, is another area, also in Glenafric. We've done a number of these schemes with the Forestry Commission now, and if you look at that there, this is a woman who worked with us for a couple of years back 10 years ago. There's regenerating birch here, there's willows up in there, this is bog myrtle, there's ferns coming in, there's heather in bloom. It's a veritable garden if you think about some of the barren landscapes with those solitary skeletons that we looked at earlier. All of that has come naturally. There's nothing planted in that photograph. So natural regeneration is the preferred option, but it only works where we've got a source of seeds. And if you think back, I said 99% of our forest is gone, so it means most of the highlands have no trees left. So there's no seed source. So we also plant trees. We collect seed. And this is actually my ex-wife here up in the Scots Pine collecting cones. And we've been doing that for close to 20 years now. Seedlings are grown from those and are taken back out for planting in the nearest surviving areas, because we want to mimic how the forest would spread naturally. So we collect seed from nearby trees to where we'll plant them out. Most of the work is done by volunteers. Here's a typical group with a couple of sackfuls of cones at the end of a day's work. The trees are grown on in a nursery. This is a Forestry Commission nursery, because a lot of our work is with the Forestry Commission. Although we do have our own nursery, but we don't grow pines there. We tend to grow the scarcer trees, which I'll come to in a minute or two. And then, after a couple of years, the seedlings are ready to plant out. And we plant them out in ways which seek to mimic the natural distribution of the trees. So before any planting is done, we send our planters out to look at natural regeneration, look at where the trees grow, look at the soil conditions, look at the vegetation, look at the pattern. We avoid straight lines, we avoid regular space.